What's going on, everybody? It is your boy, Chris, man. We are here at the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. It is Wednesday, February 12th, 2025. My name is Chris Drummond. I'm a freelance sports reporter based out of Minnesota here and proprietor of this podcast, Work Hard, Play Harder, where I bring individuals on and talk about their why and get to know them outside of their occupation. I have a special guest that's going to be coming on with me today. Her name is Valerie Preactor. She is a sports reporter and radio host out there in the state of Maryland and city Baltimore. We're going to talk to her about her why of getting involved in sports journalism, and we're going to get to know her outside of our occupation. So without any further ado, I introduce to you the wonderful, talented, and the beautiful Valerie. Hello there. How we doing, Valerie?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. You look absolutely lovely. I love the hair. You look absolutely lovely today.
Thank you.
Well, very welcome. I just wanted to say thank you for hopping on to my podcast, Work Hard, Play Harder. And I want to ask you, how is your week going so far?
So far, pretty good. What is it, Wednesday?
It is.
Yeah, halfway through.
Okay. Glad to hear that. Glad to hear that. I want to reiterate to you why I wanted to have you on here before I start peppering you with all these questions. I know that you're a reporter out there and radio host out there in Baltimore, if I'm not mistaken. I had a chance to look at your reel from 2021 and I looked at your reel from 2024. Obviously, you're very passionate about what you do. The reel in 2021, I'm assuming that was you in college. And then in 2024 is the one with you in your profession. The things that kind of stuck out to me though was your versatility. Like you were covering from the Orioles to the Ravens to radio, reporting as well. And I just thought that you were just doing such a great job and just truly amazing that I wanted to hear your story. It's rare, Valerie, that we get a chance to sit down and talk like this because we're so used to getting a story that we don't talk about ourselves. And your story is just as special as anyone else's. And I really wanted to come out and talk to you and hear about yours. So the first question, Valerie, that I have for you, as I always do with every guest I have on here, is what is your why? Why do you do what you do? Were there any role models growing up, any inspirations that you might have had? But what is ultimately your reason for getting involved in sports journalism?
First of all, such a good question out of the gate. It's such a loaded question, too.
Yeah.
And if I've learned anything from working with Fox Sports' Laura Oakman, that's exactly the way to do it. She taught us to always ask players, coaches, whoever you're talking to in an interview, about their who, not their do. So who are they? So that's a great question, first of all. The reason
Thank
why,
you.
yeah, the reason why I love my profession so much is because something that really stuck with me growing up is that if you find a job that you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And
Right.
so even though it's work to get there, this for me is a level of a dream job. So I had always grown up with sports being in my life. I was so athletic, I was so sporty as a kid. And my dad just loved watching football, baseball. So that was like our thing. And I always say, like, I have an older sister, and I'm the boy that he never had because we could do all of that together. And so whether it was, gymnastics, swimming, eventually softball, we would go to baseball games together. That was just what we connected on so much. And so to see how much joy it brought my dad. And then I realized that I really loved writing in high school. And so how could I I didn't know how to mesh the two together until I got to college. And so it was really in college that this dream kind of took off because I realized
Sure.
it was a thing. It was introduced to me. You could do sideline reporting, and that had to do with writing. That was telling people stories. And that was just really something that I loved both sides of. I walked into it and didn't know a lot about every single sport. And like you said, you kind of have to be versatile and know things about, whatever sport you're covering. And
Sure.
it just worked out. I'm honestly like timing lucky. It's incredible. But definitely once I started covering sports in college, I realized like, yeah, I love Erin Andrews. Like I want to be Erin Andrews. And so she's been my role model. And since then, I've expanded my, I guess, idol group, or I want to be her group. And it's all
Yeah,
women, because I think I'm so lucky that I grew up in a time where I could see women on TV. And I know when you look back at old ESPN tapes, or whatever it may be, you don't see women there so often. And there's guys that are great that I love too. I love
yeah, absolutely.
but she was really the first one, I think, that had been doing it so long, and I could see the relationship that she had with players and coaches, and that was really what I loved about her sit-down interviews. And I implemented that into my style in college right away, because I knew that was the way to get players and athletes to talk. And so just that access that you get as a reporter, and just making sure respectful and truly telling their story in the right way. That was important to me. So, the integrity of a broadcaster at the highest level.
Without question.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that's definitely my why. And I think every day I go into work and no 2 days are the same. And that's really what I love about it. I think, you know, I've never wanted to, sit at a desk and, do monotonous paperwork, or I sit at a screen all day long, but that's where we're getting our news, is on the
Mhm.
internet. So, but sitting in front of a microphone, it's not about my opinion. I'm trying to tell the facts. I'm trying to tell the stories. And so being able to do that day in and day out, and have every day be different. I never know what I'm walking into, any minute, we can have breaking news about a story, whether that's in the morning or, in the afternoon.
Absolutely.
I still get to talk about it either way. So that's truly the behind of the background story for me.
I love it. No, I really do. You mentioned Laura Oakman, which I had a chance to. I've talked to her before, but I had a chance to actually meet her last week in New Orleans. And
You
she
were
does
there.
yeah, she does a galvanize thing. And those of you that don't know what galvanize is, it's pretty much a program where Laura brings all kind of female sports students that want to be reporters. She has done it for different cities all around the U.S. and NFL rookies mainly come and you get a chance to interview them over like a 2 day stretch. I believe it was 2 or 3 day stretch that she's
Yep.
done. I know she's done it in Atlanta, which where I went to undergrad at and got my undergrad in. So and she's done it in Dallas and different places like that. But she was down there in New Orleans. Finally had a chance to have a conversation with her, in which she's going to be on my podcast soon too, and also in a story that I'm writing for my capstone for my master's, which ultimately is about the inequalities of women's sports reporting. And I want to be able to, write about that, touch upon that, because, being a reporter in this industry as a male, covering high school and in college, especially, and now getting over to professional, you don't see a lot of women reporters or photographers or just women in general on the ground. I know I haven't, and I've been covering section championships, state championships, and I think us men, along with women, need to be more advocates of women having opportunities and the spaces to do it because it just enhances our industry. We don't just have male watchers; we have females as well that watch the sports, and female sports are growing more and more. So I just think we just need more implementation of women especially in hierarchy positions, not just men. And I'm a proud advocate of my brother doing well. I really am, but I also want to be a proud advocate of women too. So I think that's what I'm doing. So I can't wait to talk to her for sure.
Appreciate that.
Um,
She's the best.
yes, absolutely. My second question is that you went to George Mason University, if I'm not mistaken. I would love to know what other schools could have persuaded you from going to George Mason University.
So it's a great story. I did not want to go anywhere but a school in Florida, because I wanted to be in the Sunshine State. I wanted to have like the best 4 years without having winter to worry about. And
Yeah.
I fell in love with FAU my freshman year of high school, and I was like, that's where I'm gonna go.
Okay.
But at the time, I did not want to be a sports reporter, so it was like the perfect combination of like go down to Florida, have just live life, and that it was an easy 2 hour flight away, not a big deal. And I had another school that I liked in Florida as well, and I went down there, again in my senior year, and knowing more about it after going on more college tours, like it just didn't make sense anymore. It didn't
Mm,
have the communication that I was looking for, and
right.
I don't know, it for some reason then it also started to feel like kind of far away. So when I went to George Mason, you know, it was about I wanted to be in Greek life. I was in a sorority. That those were the questions I was asking, and I wasn't sure of what my major was going to be. It was just undecided at the time, just going in kind of raw, and then
Yeah,
end up picking communications, and I was kind of leaning toward that, knowing that was going to be my path. And just seeing, look, in hindsight, probably should have went to FAU since they're a huge football school, and it may be a missed opportunity. But I think with the way that it worked out with George Mason, they don't have a football team. Their
yeah.
basketball team was too good that student media didn't cover it. So I got to do every other sport, of course, and I covered none of them now, but soccer, lacrosse, volleyball, softball. And so
Mhm.
that kind of prepared me, though, to learn other sports, which I think is a necessity. And it also got me the time on air. At first, it was the A10 network, and then we moved to ESPN Plus that I definitely would not have gotten at a bigger school had
Yeah.
I'd gone to like an SEC school or Big Ten school. Or everyone now that wants to be a sports broadcaster wants to go to Syracuse. First of all, I would never go to Syracuse in my life. Um, and not hating on it. I know a lot of people that go there, but New
Mhm.
York is not my spot. And I know it's really hard to get that on air action as a freshman. And my 2 weeks into school, they just threw me on doing sideline. I had no idea what I was doing, but that was a
Mhm.
great experience. And I never made those mistakes again after that first time. So George Mason was the perfect spot. It was really, you know, close, but far enough away from home. And it was close to DC. I thought that's a great hub for anything, whether I go into news, whether I go into sports, you know, it's just
Yes, it is.
action. So I felt like, oh, it's going to be perfect when I need an internship. And so I just felt like the location was really what sold me. It had Greek life, like it just was checking all the boxes. And the campus to me was perfect. It was big enough, you know, with the amount of kids, you know, it's like 35,000 kids, but it was small enough.
Yep.
It was kind of a commuter school. So it just was perfect. And the only thing that could have made it better is if we didn't have the pandemic in the middle of my junior year. So other than that, it was amazing.
I love that. I really do. I love to hear that. You know, my first time ever going to DC was I would say a few years ago, and it was a semi conference. You ever heard of the semi conference? Okay,
Maybe, yeah.
so yeah, so that was in DC, and I went there, and it was my first time, and I was like, this is the place I could definitely imagine myself being in, because they not only have like high school, they have colleges all around, but they have professional sports too, which is something that I really would love to do. I love to cover all that to be able to get those stories in. So I just fell in love with DC right then and there, and then there's been a few more times that I've been out there to visit my brother who did a co-op in Baltimore. I really love Silver Springs as well, City Silver Springs. Y'all got a lot of 7-Elevens out there, that's for sure too. A whole grip of those. I was
Yeah,
like, my goodness.
I believe
But
it.
it was a great area, great spot, and you know if I ever get there, that'd be great. But it definitely left an impression on me that I wouldn't mind being there at all. In the 202 is what I like to call it, the area code. So that's what's up. I want to ask you some favorite questions, Valerie, and you just give me the 411 off the rip based upon these favorite questions. Are you with me?
I'm with you.
All right, let's rock with it. Favorite meal you like to cook?
Oh, wow. I mean, God, that these are such hard questions that I like to cook. Um, I will say it's a go-to. It's crazy. It's out there.
Okay.
Salmon with Caesar salad. That's
Why
it.
is that crazy?
I don't know. I feel like normal people are not going to say salmon, but that's an easy one. Like I try to be healthy. That's one of the best things I can make.
Yeah.
Try to be healthy.
My gosh. I mean, if you can see the redness in my face, you might probably can't because of my pigmentation, but but yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Salmon. Come on now. Salmon is real good. Um, Let me ask you this one. And I should say, my favorite food to cook is tacos. As a sports reporter, I get off pretty late at times. I really don't want to whip up 3-course, 4-course
Yeah.
meals at 12 o'clock at night. And sometimes I'm just too lazy to pre-prep, cook, and all this, that, and the third. So when I get home, I just want to whip up something fast. Tacos is my go-to for sure. Um, Let me ask you, favorite concerts you've ever attended?
Ooh. Um, I think my favorite concert was when I went to go see Billie Eilish. I had such great seats, and it was incredible. It was still like during COVID, so we were still wearing masks.
Mhm.
But it was incredible. She's amazing.
Absolutely. I'm definitely a supporter of Billie Eilish. I don't listen to a lot of her music, but I am a supporter because "When the Party's Over" is one of my favorite
Good,
tracks.
good song.
No question about it. But also "Bad Guy" too. "Bad Guy" is one of my favorites too. So yes, no doubt. I bump that loud whenever that song comes on.
Like, see, seeing that live, you can't beat it.
You cannot. You cannot. I could just imagine how the crowd must have been absolutely ape. You know what?
Oh yeah.
to do that. You know what I mean? Okay. My favorite concert probably was Kanye, Jay-Z, Watch the Throne. I'm a huge hip hop artist, huge hip hop head. Whenever they did that joint album, I just thought it was just two giants on one album before
Yeah,
Kanye went crazy and
truly.
before Jay just, did his thing. So yeah, Watch the Throne is my favorite. Favorite place you've ever traveled to?
Oh my gosh. Wow. I've done a lot of traveling, luckily. Oh my goodness. There's just stories from everywhere. I will say, I'm going to keep it simple. First of all, my favorite place to travel in the US is
Mhm.
Florida. My parents live down there. My grandparents live down there. So I love just going to see them. It's the easiest trip I can ever make. And it's just a go-to. Anytime I have a bye week and All-Star week, I'll be there. Um, Outside of the US, I mean, there's just so many, you go somewhere once, you have to go back. So I've only been, to places once out of the country, and it's like, my goodness, I don't even know. Um,
Right.
I First of all, the best place that I've been that I learned the most, we're gonna go with that one because as
Okay.
one of my favorite stories ever, um, is Ghana. I loved going to Ghana. I loved going to Africa. It's always been on my bucket list. That was one of the places that I wanted to go and see, explore the way that they live, and it's truly, truly, truly so life-changing. If I could send every person to a third world country, I would. I think it's so beneficial for
Absolutely.
your mind, for your mental state, for your perspective. It is insane. And that was one of my most cherished trips. Was going to Ghana. So I recommend.
Absolutely. I'm putting that on the bucket list for sure. My place would be Jamaica.
Another good
That
one.
favorite, no question. Went to Falmouth, Jamaica.
Amazing.
Uh, some of the best jerk chicken I ever had in my life.
That
It was so good. The scenery was great. The beaches were great. Just everybody so peaceful. Everybody saying one love to you when you
so
walk
good.
around. It was just a really, really great experience. My dad ended up booking the family a cruise. So everybody chipped in and we got on the cruise and we did that.
So
Now
good.
I'm going to Greece in June. Yeah,
Jealous.
yeah. Well,
I've been there.
it's a singles cruise because I'm a
Hey,
bachelor and I don't really family is family, but I wanted to do a singles thing and want to do something else different. So and I
cruises
wanted
are
to
the best. We were just
right,
talking about that. It's so funny. We were just talking about that this morning in the newsroom.
yeah.
Cruises are one of the best ways to travel. I stand by that.
Yeah, I just got my passport last year for the first time. So I knew I had needed it for our cruise, obviously to Jamaica and some other places, but now I'm cruise heavy. Like I want to at least do two this year. So I'm looking for another one to do later in the year. We'll see. But yeah, we're definitely going to enjoy and have some fun this year with some cruises and some stuff for sure. Um, Favorite I'm a sport person, so I should say this first, preface this. Favorite sport that you like to watch on TV, favorite sport you like to attend in person. They could be the same sport.
Um, I love to watch so many sports on TV. I'm gonna keep it simple though because I think I think football is so much better to watch on TV.
Yes,
The way that it
yes.
is shot, I obviously attend football games, but it's really hard to see everything unfold at the same time without
Mhm.
replay. Obviously, when you're there, but I think baseball is really great to sit and watch because for me, baseball's so social. Like because
Mhm.
it's a longer game, The days are beautiful. You can just go, have a seat, socialize with your group that you're there with, your friends. And whenever you hear the crack of the bat, you know something's happening and you can look up and watch. And after that, you can just chill. Like, I think football, it's a little bit too extreme to watch in person. It's a little bit too cold. I'm not going to do that outside. I will eventually when I have to be there on the sidelines. You don't worry about it. But as a person who's going to sit there, no way. Like, it's that is really hard to watch in person. So I think baseball is just so many. You know what? I also would think tennis. I haven't watched one live, but
Mhm.
I would think tennis is also fun to watch in person. Uh,
Yeah,
but I also love watching, like, the Olympics, like gymnastics is definitely easier to watch on TV because you're not as
I
close.
feel that.
So
I feel that. Yeah, Valerie, you are cooking with grease, Crisco, girl, right now.
that's
So I
what
love that.
Roquan Smith says. You know
Absolute. Oh, do we? Do Quan say that? Okay,
that
that's what's up.
that is his. We've talked about that. That's his. He used to say that when he first got here, like over and over and over again, and nobody knew what that meant. And I'm like, do people have never they heard this? Like, I knew exactly what he was talking about. And
Hmm.
I was like, I think everybody else might be crazy because I don't know why they haven't heard that before. I feel like that's
Listen,
a common phrase. So I'm glad
it,
you.
it, it definitely is. It definitely is in
Well, it's
household.
it's definitely an Atlanta thing. He's from Atlanta, so or he's from
So there
Georgia.
you go. There
So
you go. So no question about that. You are definitely cooking with it though, because football for me is TV. I don't mind going to football games. I don't mind watching football games in person, but everybody looks so small. If you don't really have great seats in the stands, it's not that great. And if you're on the sideline, that's a wonderful experience. But when the ball is not near you, or you got to run back and forth to the sideline, you're going to miss something. So
yeah,
I totally understand that. Basketball is probably my favorite in person because I'm a huge basketball head.
yeah.
I love basketball to the core. So, and it's a smaller arena. It's like a fifth of the size of what football stadiums are. But I also like hockey as well. Nothing like now. I know you specialize in doing the Ravens and the Orioles. Do you do the Nationals too?
I don't cover them as explicitly.
Okay,
Honestly, during the season, I'm not really talking about them unless something crazy is happening. So, like when they
got
call up a rookie or something, a huge prospect, I'll mention
you.
it. But yeah, like Dylan Cruz, I'm excited to see Dylan.
Right. Right. Now, the Orioles have been one of my favorite teams to watch over the past years. I think their lineup is murderers row, especially for the 1 through 7 lineup of
Yeah.
what they have in O'Hearn, Mullins, Henderson, Mountcastle. I can go on, and probably you obviously know these players, but I'm just saying they've been one of my favorite teams. But they've also been a team to me that's been very disappointing as well
Mhm.
because they are somebody who excels in the regular season and then just kind of fizzles out in the postseason. What do you think needs to happen for them to get over the hump? Because to me, they're just right there. They're just right there. So what do you think it needs to take for them to get over the hump?
Yeah, I think the way that the front office or the coaches may look at this is that they need more veterans. They have such inexperience with those young guys. They're so talented,
Yeah,
but it's very hard to play 162 plus playoff games and still be just as good as you were, in game 50,
sure.
halfway through or something. So I think that in my opinion, it's just reps. Like you gotta get there. And I think it's truly the same for the Ravens. They're both such incredible regular season teams. And then it gets to the playoffs and it just seems like they're not ready. And it's truly like they're beating themselves in both ways. I was just listening back to how the playoffs went this year for the Orioles, and it's like they didn't score. Well, that's their fault. It's like you can hit the ball. We obviously know that. You're one of the league leaders in home runs. So why are there no hits? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
that's totally a you problem. And I know that baseball is one of the hardest sports because it's so incredibly hard to hit a baseball. But
Right.
once it gets to that and you're like, oh, it's only 2 games. Well, it's the only 2 games you got left. So you can't put up runs in, any of them except for Cedric Mullins' solo shot. It's like, I don't know. How do you blame that? You can't blame that on the pitcher. They did their job. You can't, it's nothing to do with the outfielders. It's the lineup.
Mhm.
That's totally on the lineup. So I don't know that they've done a lot to change the lineup because they know that it's so good, like you said.
Oh yeah,
But
absolutely.
I think it's just a matter of experience. And now that these third-year guys, when you're talking about Adley and Gunner, they know what it's like now, 2 years in a row. So I think though they're turning slowly into veterans, but you still need the guys that they're bringing in, even if they're on the other side of the ball. The pitchers, Charlie Morton and
Mm.
Subarno, like even though they haven't won World Series. They're no, Corbin Burns is up there, but they
Well,
have
I think Morton has with the
Morton has
Braves, didn't he?
can't be right. Yeah, he's
Didn't he?
also
Didn't he? Win-
he's also an all-star, so
Yeah.
he's got that. But
Mhm.
you might be right. But again,
Okay.
it's really just having that presence in the locker room. You go through
Yeah.
the years of like go back to Kyle Gibson. He's that guy. Um,
Yep.
so I think that just is what brings and I think it's just the trust between the players and manager Brandon Hyde, who I think does a fabulous job. And I think he did
He does.
better this time around in the playoffs. I was really happy with the way that he managed because it was such a pitcher's duel. I was glad that he kept it that way because
Yeah.
in their first time around against the Rangers, it was not the way that I would have liked to see it managed. Um,
Sure.
but different circumstances, and again, hopefully stay healthy this year.
Absolutely. I love your perspective on that. I mean, obviously, the AL East is going to be they're always a war zone between those teams, right? I mean, obviously, the Red Sox are going to look to improve. The Blue Jays added Max Scherzer. Don't know how he's going to do at 40 years old. With 1 year, 115 year, they traded Vladimir Guerrero, if I'm not mistaken. They traded him to the White Sox and got Luis Robert as well in the trade, which I didn't understand that at all. But nonetheless, they did what they did. And I'm saying that because you still got the Yankees there too. That's going to be contending as well in that AL East. Always a fun time around this time of February because you have pitchers and catchers that report. Spring training's coming up, baseball. But you also mentioned the Ravens, and that was going to be my follow up. But you actually answered that. Obviously, I would love to hear your thoughts about Josh Allen winning MVP because I thought Lamar will win his third. Now, listen, I'm a little biased because I just thought Lamar Jackson's stats were better than Josh Allen's. But the record of Josh Allen's was better. He did play with a little bit less than Lamar Jackson, and maybe expectations wasn't as high for Josh as it was for Lamar because of them adding Derrick Henry to the fold of the Ravens. Give me your perspective before I get to the last favorite question on that.
Yeah, well, I will say throughout the season, the Ravens didn't start off great. So it was kind of like, well, it's obviously going to be Josh Allen. And I went back
Right.
and forth about this throughout the whole year. I, until about week 14, maybe, I was like, it's Josh Allen. I mean, there's no debate. It's Josh Allen. Because even though Lamar had made some ridiculous plays, he was putting the stats up, it just felt like, look, he doesn't want it. I'm like, I don't even want it for you anymore. Okay, I'm not even going to try to convince you that you deserve an MVP
Right.
this year. You obviously don't care. It's fine. I'm good with that. And I felt like toward the middle end of the season, I was like, man, these guys are good. Like maybe they can actually go to the Super Bowl, and that would be the perfect way to finish out this MVP season. But instead of getting an MVP, they'd go to the Super Bowl. They didn't do that,
Right.
obviously. Now, yes, I agree that once Lamar passed 4,000 passing yards, 900 rushing yards, they had the number one offense in the league. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's an MVP caliber stat line, especially compared to last year when he did win the MVP and the stats, honestly,
Wasn't as good.
not even close. So
Right.
that shocked me, and I was like, that's when I said, all right, it's okay. It's got to be Lamar, but I won't be mad if it's Josh because I know Lamar doesn't want it, and you could obviously see that when he wasn't there at the ceremony. So I think that Josh, look, give him something, okay? The guy's coming in at the same time Lamar. They're doing the same thing, and they cannot beat the buzzsaw, except Lamar Jackson has two MVPs. Josh Allen has nothing to show for it. So I said,
Right.
look, give him the MVP. You know what? It's fine. I'm happy for him. I think he does deserve it. You're right. He's doing a lot more with less. But that's the only category that he's leading in is rushing touchdowns as a quarterback because Lamar has Derrick Henry. So you're right. Now, does that warrant MVP? Sure. I don't know. I would love for one of the writers or one of the voters to explain to me, is it Lamar fatigue? Is it just changing it?
Yeah, what's the
Aaron
process?
Rodgers won back-to-back MVPs. I don't think he deserved that, but I wasn't watching the NFL and specifically that team as closely then. Still, I would love to know what the guidelines were. Like, why are we voting on Josh Allen versus Lamar? I'd love to know. But yeah, I had already come to terms with it that it wasn't really gonna happen this year, and if it did, it obviously wasn't gonna be unanimous like it was the last two times.
Sure, sure, absolutely. I found out news because, as I told you, I was down there in New Orleans for Radio Row and for the Super Bowl, covering that, and I went to Nightcap. Nightcap was in Mahalia Jackson's theater. That was quite the show. No question about it. That Shannon Sharp and not Chris, Chad Ochocinco put on.
The best.
And they broke the news that Josh Allen had won, and the whole theater just erupted. No question about it, because they was like, this is crazy. Which I had the same mindset. I mean, not to say that Josh Allen didn't have a great year, but we just said it. Lamar Jackson won MVP doing less, and he did more this year. So, you know, I don't know what it's going to take to get the Ravens over the hump either. I mean, they've had the number one seed, they've had the best record. They didn't have the best record this year, but they added a talent like Derrick Henry. I don't know what it's going to take. Maybe it goes back to what you're saying which is reps. They just need reps and they just need that experience. But hopefully, one of them breaks through and cracks through to beats that buzzsaw that they call Patrick Mahomes, because nobody except Brady and Burrow in the AFC has beat him in the playoffs. So,
Let me put this in perspective just real quick, because the way that I, had to grapple with this when they lost the divisional round, and even before the hype up to this divisional round with Lamar and Josh Allen was so incredible that it got me thinking, where we're at right now in NFL history is so unprecedented, I feel like,
mhm.
because you're talking about in the same conference, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, and Lamar's got to get through all those guys to get to the Super Bowl. So the
Right,
divisional round between the Bills and the Ravens was the Super Bowl for the AFC, no matter, and it would have been for the championship round too, whoever it was, because that's the type of talent you have on this side of the league. So for me, it was like, well, there's no way if he gets through them, he's going to be fine in the Super Bowl. His record against NFC teams is insane. I don't know that they would have beaten the Eagles now, showing what they did, but I think he would have had more of a chance than anybody else because of that
right.
record. But still, you think about what he has to get through every single year. He's got to play the Bengals twice. The Steelers are never easy. I don't, think they're a necessarily really good team, but the Ravens end up playing down to their division every single time. So
Without question. Yeah,
yeah, so that's the initial hurdle. And then when you get to the postseason, you're going to face Josh Allen, you're going to face Patrick Mahomes, unless they go through seriously, injured seasons where they don't make it, which I think is going to be incredibly rare. So
right.
just see the talent that Lamar has to go through to get to the biggest stage. It's almost impossible. And it's what we've seen so far for him and Josh. They've not been able to get there yet.
Yeah, and you mentioned one of the quarterbacks, sorry, and Joe Burrow, he didn't even make the playoffs this year.
Right.
And that's just crazy. It's crazy of that gauntlet that you have to go through. And the NFC don't even have those type of quarterbacks at all of a
Right.
gauntlet to go through. I want to get to this last favorite before I move on, and that is favorite restaurant there in Baltimore, because I will definitely be back. I am definitely a foodie. So I love to be able to eat at different places. Tell me a favorite restaurant of yours that you like to go out and eat at.
So I always say my favorite breakfast brunch spot, downtown Baltimore. They have one in Roland Park as well. And Annapolis, I think, is Miss Shirley's. And they do
Mm.
an incredible breakfast, an incredible brunch spread. They've got great sandwiches. My favorite thing to get there is the monkey bread to start. And they have like the coolest combinations. Like you'll get, a crab omelet if you want. Like you can get whatever you want there, and they just do it so well. And they've loved following along with my journey. I'll mention them every so often on the radio, and they just love to hear it. So they're a great, obviously Maryland only business, and I love supporting them, and they just do a great job. So I always recommend for people to go there, and they've told me that every once in a while when teams for baseball come through, they have a whole team delivery set up for the opposed. If the Red Sox come in town, they're delivering Miss Shirley's for breakfast. So I think that's pretty cool. That's my stamp of approval.
Okay. Obviously, next time I do touchdown in the Baltimore, DC area, I would love to say what's up to you if you're still there, obviously, and definitely going to check out Miss Shirley's. That's no question, no question about that. Because I'm huge into breakfast and brunch food, so I definitely would love to do that.
Love it.
Um, I want to be able to talk to you about your day to day. As being in journalism, no 2 days, you mentioned it, are the same. You're covering different teams, you have different stories, you have breaking news. Sometimes you work long hours. Sometimes it's baseball one day, football, maybe college, maybe one day, maybe even on a lesser tier, maybe high school, right? But it's just something every single day. Sometimes it's a feature story, sometimes it's a radio interview. Talk to me about your day-to-day process and how does it differentiate what you do in the different positions that you do? Because I've seen you report, anchor, and be on radio. And all three of those are three different positions, three different mindsets that you got to have. So talk to me about that.
Yeah, it obviously changes depending on the season. So right now is our true off season, even though spring training is going to start. So we had our nice 3-4 weeks of off season, but baseball season is completely different than football season, and they combine, of course, in the
Yeah,
middle. So that's truly the height of it, and it really all begins right now. I take a step back around this time and realize that I've been going since from March to January, nonstop,
sure.
nonstop overdrive, and it's the best. So I try to really appreciate these days where I get home and come home early and take a nap. But so we'll start with baseball season because that's coming up next. It's way more work because there's so many more games every single day.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
the day to day in the morning, I'm a morning sports anchor. I do that Monday through Friday. So I get in and we go live at 5 a.m., start talking about the top stories, Orioles, Ravens, whatever other national news is coming about. We keep up with college basketball right now. And so whether we have sound or something from the day before, little clips, I go into two different stations, WBAL, their morning show with C4 and Brian Neiman, and then I also go into 98 Rock with Justin Scott and Spiegel. So two different completely personalities of those shows. And so we have a lot of fun with it. And
Hmm.
then I'm on about every couple of hours from 5 until 9 a.m. So then at 9 a.m., like right now today, my day's over. I walk out the door and I am done for the day. Other times during baseball season, I do the pregame show for the Orioles for the game that night. So I go in about
Yeah.
10 a.m. and start recording stuff for that. And I'll be finished with that around, I try to be done by 11. My shift doesn't end technically until 11:30ish. So
Okay.
I'm home by then. It's a good day. And if they're here on a homestand, I'm going down to the clubhouse hours before first pitch. So we'll go talk to the manager. We'll go to open clubhouse. I'll try to get interviews with different coaches or players and stuff like that. And so that's at around 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I won't stay for the game because I got to come home and go to bed. Um, but I will leave there around 5:30, about an hour before first pitch or so. And
Okay.
that's one of the longest days possible. On a Friday when I can stay out of the ballpark, I will, if it's a good game or, something like that. Then it's an even longer day. Even though that's not technically working, by the end of the day, it's just me at the ball game, having a good time. So I never really see that part of my day as work because I just love, going to the ballpark, seeing the players, talking to the PR,
Absolutely.
all the other
Yeah.
newspapers are there. So that's my social time for sure. And it's not as much work. It's way fun. So that's baseball season. And then once we, skip over into about June, July when training camp rolls around, I start going back and forth between that day to day
Wow.
and going to training camp, obviously, which
Training camp for the Ravens.
at the facility at the other end of the side of Maryland. So yeah, there's weeks where I'm one on, one off, and I'll do Orioles, locker room one day, and then I'll do Ravens training camp another day, and I'll try to get an interview with a player there, press conference with John Harbaugh, stuff like that. So, but on a regular, we're in October, November, whenever the Orioles are finished playing. My day ends real early. Like I said, like about 9 o'clock, I'm finished. 10 o'clock, I'll leave. And then I'll go back to the facility for the Ravens at like 3 o'clock, open locker room, talk to players, do the press conferences, get interviews there. And then it's still just as long as a day. So it's pretty much the same. And then we're in bed early. So that's the day to day. Game days are different. Obviously, I do the pregame show for the Ravens. So every Sunday or anytime there's a Ravens game, we're doing the pregame
Hmm.
3 hours before. And then for a home game, I love those because I get to stay at the stadium, watch the game from inside, go down to post game locker room, get post game interviews, see Harbaugh, Lamar, all that. And again, those are just fun. They're the best parts of the job. Truly, is game day, but they are long. Well, coming up on the one of the longer days of my career, which is draft day, and that
Sure.
it's just a long night. And because I work so early in the morning, it's just a long day. You never know who they're going to pick. And this year they
Yeah.
picked a late pick, so we're going to be up late. So that's a tough one, but always very exciting. I love draft night.
I love that. I do. And listen, that's the reason why I asked this question, because it gives great perspective into what you do, right? Because you're covering great professional teams, but people don't know the behind the scenes, Valerie, of what you do. Like they see the finished product, they hear your voice on the radio, or they see your wonderful face in front of the camera, but they don't understand you got to get yourself up ass early in the morning to be able to get ready,
Yeah.
to do what you got to do to prepare, to talk to
Yep.
people before you go on air and all that stuff. And they don't realize how long the day is. It's a very long day. Now, at the same time, this is something that you love to do. So, you live by the phrase of if you love something to do, you never really actually call it work, like you said. But this is a great segue to the next question, which is mental health and work-life balance. I've been in this profession for the past 7 years. Now I'm doing freelance. I love doing freelance because I'm able to work with different publications, different networks to go to different events and cover different things, have a little bit more control over what I want to do. However, like you said, long days. Sometimes you miss celebrations, weddings, graduations, time with family as far as holidays, Thanksgivings, Christmas. Why? Because sports happens on those days. We love it, but we do miss those events that we can't get back. So time, we certainly can't get back. Work-life balance, as I'm talking about that. There's a lot of people that have died off from this profession. I know that. I've had many colleagues said this is not for me anymore because of that. Talk to me about your mental health and being strong, but also still having that work-life balance. Because Valerie, you seem like a wonderful person to be around as far as like a good time, a friend, but you also seem about your business too. So
Mhm.
talk to me about how you balance that out.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that I believe I'm a pretty boring person to begin with. I do love my family time. Um,
Right.
but I also, it makes me really sad when I see people like you said that leave the industry because it's this hard. And to me,
Right.
that's why you really have to have a passion for it and make sure that you get to where you want to be, where you don't feel that way. So
Absolutely.
I think that there are jobs that, you're always going to do, at least for me, I'm always going to do more than I'm asked for, just because I know that's the level of where I want to be and that's the type of production that I want it to look like. And to be presented in that way. So I'm always going to go above
Absolutely.
and beyond. I know that takes more work, but to me, as a sort of perfectionist, it's got to be done right. So for me, I also think that I have a really good grip on, I'm not a holiday lover, so I don't really
Mm.
mind that. We've had a game on Christmas the last 2 years. Doesn't really
Yep.
bother me. Um, I work every single holiday. I work Fourth of July. I work Halloween. I work uh,
Memorial Day. Yeah.
New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. I work every single one of them. I'm not off for any of the Monday holidays. I'm there. The news never stops. Sports never really stop. So um,
Yep.
I'm lucky when it's a holiday on a weekend. Okay, that's what we hope for. Um, but even still, that doesn't stop Christmas from
Right.
having a game.
right.
So, but I think I've done a really good job at separating them, and they don't really feel like holidays anymore. It's just another work day. So in that aspect, I make time for my family a lot on other days. You know, we have a really good routine where, you know, during the off season when I've got the time, I do dinners with them at least once a week. And my parents aren't here, so that's another thing too. It's like I'm with
Yeah,
my aunt, my uncles, my cousins. I've got a huge family up here. My sister, and yeah, I just try to, you know, for the days that aren't holidays, I think that, you know, helps my little cousins, you know, make them feel more special because they know holidays are special, but
sure.
me every holiday. So when they do get to see me, then it's an even more exciting regular day. So for
Right.
me, I do make that a point. And then in the summer, it's a little easier. You know, we can have get-togethers at the pool, and you know, summer's a lot easier for the kids. But and I just love it more. So it's hard in the winter, but that's when I have the most time. So I try to do weekly things like that. Friends are tough because everyone's schedule is different.
Yeah,
Everyone's job is different. You know, I don't have a normal 9 to 5. So I'm like, let's
right.
go get dinner on a Tuesday night at 4 o'clock. And they're like, no, cool. Can't do that. So for me, it is such a balance. But you know, there's weeks where my weekends are booked and they're booked with work or they're booked with friends or family. Like there's really no in between or travel. I will say it is hard. It's a hard balance for me to not travel like I would love to,
Right.
because I plan my schedule around the season. So it's like in the football season, no weekends for me. I got to study on Saturday, games on Sunday. So that's really tough. And that's, of course, you know, 6 months out of the year. Baseball season's
Yeah.
a little bit easier because they're not here on weekends. I can't do anything. So the weekends in the summer are a little bit easier to do a little bit more traveling. And I wish that I would. So hopefully that's coming next year or whenever. But yeah, it's definitely tough. I think I do love my schedule because in the summers or even now, I can have really productive days. So like I said, when I
Sure.
finish my day at 9 a.m., I've got a whole day ahead of me until I've got to go to bed at 8 o'clock. So I can get so much done. I can get nothing done, but I still have the entire day of light, you know, in the winter when people are locked inside. And so I think that
Absolutely.
I'm so lucky that I enjoy that. Yeah, it's not easy to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning every day, but I sleep in on the weekends, I make up for it, and I've got my days. So that's where we're at. I hope that answered your question.
No, that does. It's a question worth asking because sometimes, Valerie, people get a misconception of what journalism is. Like I said, we both feel that this is an industry that we both love to be in. We both love doing what we do. We both feel blessed doing what we're doing. Because I wouldn't trade this for the world because I grew up watching sports, playing sports, and sitting next to my dad, and I told him I was going to be this. And I'm sure you did the same thing as well with your family growing up. But there is still that misconception out there when they see your face in front of the camera. Oh, wow, she must have it made. Oh, wow, she's anchoring. She's at the sports. She's credentialing. She's on the field. She's talking. But people just don't know the behind the scenes. And that's why I created a platform like this so that people that's in the industry like myself, we can explain to you that, hey, this is what goes on. It's beautiful, but you really can't half-ass it. You really can't have one foot in, one foot out. Like you brought up something else too, friends. I don't know how many times, Valerie, throughout the years that I've went to a bar because, again, my podcast is called Work Hard, Play Harder. That's how I live my life. I've went to a bar and I've gotten me some, a drink. I'm settling in, talking to some friends, and I've had somebody call me and say, Chris, I need you to cover a game. And I've had to drop everything and go cover the game because that's just our job. That's our job as journalists, as people in journalism. I'm sure this happened to you as well at some point. Well, maybe not at a bar, but you'll be at an event and you might have to cancel on a friend or you've had some plans or something like that. And you do have to sacrifice that because that was the one thing that was troublesome to me, being in this industry. I'm a huge extrovert and I love being around people. I love listening to people's stories. And then when you're asking them, hey, would you like to, have dinner at Tuesday at, 3, and they're like, bro, we're still at work, business hours. Oh yeah, that's right. And you're off on a Tuesday. You're just off doing your own thing. And they're like, okay, so that don't work. Well, hey man, can you come out with us Friday night? No, because sports are nights and weekends. Can't really do Friday nights. So people that's outside of the journalism schedule have a tough time understanding what it is as far as schedule wise. They just don't get it. So that was the most toughest thing for me to do, and that really kind of affected me a little bit, especially in my first couple years in the industry as well. But yeah, so I wanted to throw that out there, but there's another segue because advice. What advice would you give someone that wanted to join this industry? Right, I'm sure you have interns there at the station. I'm sure you have people that you come in and you talk to. What advice would you give them?
If you're entering the sports world, it does. It takes a lot of guts, it takes a lot of dedication, and it takes a lot of reps. I think people can also get really, frustrated if you're working toward a goal, but you don't see the progress.
Without question.
Yeah, and off the top, you were telling me, you're looking at my sports reel from, different years, and you can see the progression of,
Mhm.
location of where I am, and it's really, you're your harshest critic. I am.
Yeah. Yes.
I think the number one thing in this industry, my advice, you've got to have thick skin. You have to have thick skin. I love hearing feedback about my work, whether it's positive or negative. I like to hear both because, getting piled on negative, isn't great, but that's the most helpful because, and Laura
Mhm.
Open will probably explain this to you. And what I showed the most, I think, in one of her boot camps was if you tell me something to change, my instinct is to try to immediately enact that change the very
Absolutely.
so I think it's not that hard to change what you're doing. I think it's really simple. If you've heard that's the feedback, you need to change and do this. Don't say this or whatever. Okay, great. Then I'm not going to do that. Or let me try to implement this. That to me is the easiest fix. And so it's whether or not you understand that to a level where, again, whoever's saying that is trying to make you better. If
Right.
it's completely out there, it's something different. But that's why I say you have to have thick skin because you're going to get criticized by somebody else other than you. And
Without question.
you're not willing to accept that. And you're like, oh, well, they don't know what they're talking about, or that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't matter. It's what they're telling you to do. It's your job to change that. So for me, I love hearing feedback, whether it's positive or negative, because I know it's me getting better. And
Right.
whether that's style tips, cadence, pacing, topics, timing, things like that. I learned so much in my first year as an anchor about all of that. And just again, the difference of inflection. I mean, that was crazy to me. So
Mhm.
for that, I think that's a huge part of the industry is getting feedback. I also think you've got to work hard. You can't sit back and be complacent or else nothing's going to happen. And so,
Hello, I'm with you.
yeah, so for me, you can be happy where you are, and I think that's a great thing. But if you're not looking ahead to the next best thing or your next best option, then you're really not growing. You're growing in your role, but you're not
Right.
growing in your most capacity that you could be. So for me, it's always, making those connections and really, I always focus on those relationships, those connections, whether it's with the players, coaches, or PR. Don't forget about the stadium staff. The guys that are coming in and checking your bag, they're checking your badge, they're opening the door.
Absolutely.
Those are such important people, and I think the way that you treat everybody who you come in contact with means something, and it can lead to something, and just you showing kindness to everybody is a big part of this industry because you're seeing so many people constantly. That's another one. But yeah, working your hardest. I mean, it's gonna push you to your limits 100%. And we were talking about work-life balance. There's definitely times
Yep.
where it's like, well, if I had, a finance job, I'd be making a lot more money, or I'd have a normal 9 to 5, and I wouldn't have the time off that I do. Well, I wouldn't have the access that I have. You just have to be grateful for what you have in the moment. But yeah, keep having big dreams, I think is also a big thing too. Never let anybody tell you that dream is too big. I've had people do that to me before, but you got to stay focused.
I love that you said that last part. You said some wonderful things right there, and I really do appreciate that, Valerie. But that last part of never stop dreaming, there you have to decipher, and I'll say two things before I get to the next question. The first thing is you have to decipher when people are really trying to help and when people are really trying to hinder. In this industry, you're going to get a lot more people that help than hinder, but you are going to get both. There's just no question about it. You're going to get both, and you need to decipher which one is which. For me, for example, there's been a lot of people that I've networked with over my years of being in this profession that gave me some great advice about different things that I've asked. But there's also been some people that have hindered. And an example I'll give you is I've had a former boss tell me that I was below average as a sports reporter. And mind you, again, you're going to get criticized. You're going to get criticized, and people are going to do it differently. People are going to tell you differently. But as you said, when it's out of nowhere or when it's out of like bounds or different things like that, then you got to also depict that too. I didn't mind you saying that I was below average. What I mind you saying after that was, well, we don't have the necessarily tools to help you grow. Well, now that sounds kind of personal
Yeah.
because as a hierarchy person, the whole point of me is to continue to grow as a reporter. And now you can't label how I'm being below average. So if you can't tell me how I'm being below average and you just say that, well, now it's time for me to make my decision because you've already said enough. So it's time for me to make a decision to either move on or keep taking abuse like that. And ain't nobody gonna keep taking abuse like that. You're gonna continue to move on and move forward. Since then, I've gotten some great events and I've went freelance. But doesn't mean I don't want to be back with a company soon, but I love this freelance life as well. But the
Yeah.
point I'm trying to make is for people that's trying to join this industry, you have to know it's okay to, make a move, make a pivot based upon people's decisions, but you got to be decisive on that decision for sure.
I agree with you 100%.
Uh, um, we have reached the portion of the podcast now that we're going to do this or that, which is my interactive game that I like to play here with my guests on Work Hard, Play Harder. I throw some things at you, ask some questions, and you get to choose this or that. So for the second time, Valerie, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. Do you like chicken?
Yes.
Okay. Now the reason why I asked that is because there's some people that's vegetarian, so they don't eat
Oh,
chicken at all.
yeah.
So I just want to make sure. Now, based upon this question, which chicken place would you rather go to, Popeyes or KFC?
Popeyes. Never been to a KFC in my life.
Girl, you on point like a period. Okay, well, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, me and you, we vibing right now. Let's continue this. Here we go. We're gonna stay on chicken, but now it's called chicken flavors. Which flavor would you rather put on a chicken wing? Barbecue or lemon pepper?
Can I do neither? I'm such a plain.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was gonna ask if you like it wet or dry, but you clearly like
Dry.
dry if it's
Yeah,
plain.
dry.
Okay, let me ask you, bone in or boneless?
Bone in.
Okay. I don't even want to say you want to get messy because you're not messy. You just eating it plain. So it's
Dry.
okay.
Yeah.
I feel it. I feel it. Listen, as long as you like the wings, that's all that matters. I'm choosing lemon pepper though. Give me some lemon pepper wings. I'm with that. Okay, I'm with you. These next 5 questions have to do with music artists, concerts you rather attend. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's the first one. Which music concert would you rather go to? Kendrick Lamar or Drake?
After that performance, Kendrick Lamar. It's got to be. That was awesome.
It was. There was a lot of debate on that, and people did not like that. But you
If
know
you
what?
if you ask 2016 Valerie, probably Drake, but we've passed that.
I feel that. I feel that. His performance was great.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's coming out with another tour with SZA. I plan on going to it.
I love it. That's a good one.
Okay. Okay. I'm with you on that. You got some good music taste, girl. I like that. Here we go. Which music concert would you rather go to? Would you rather go see Megan Thee Stallion or Summer Walker?
I gotta go Megan Thee Stallion. Like, that's probably a damn good performance. You know what I mean? That's a
Absolutely. Yeah,
spectacle there.
absolutely. No question. Okay. Which music artist would you rather go see in person? Chris Brown or Usher?
Usher. Oh my gosh. I love Usher. That's a good one. Yes.
I don't know if you ever seen him in concert. I had the opportunity to see him last November here in Minnesota.
Uh-huh.
It was great. It was amazing. So if you
He's such
haven't,
an
please go see.
entertainer. I'm into
He's
it.
so good. Okay. Which music concert would you rather go see? J. Cole or Lil Wayne?
Oh my gosh, my best friend loves Lil Wayne. Probably Lil Wayne. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm going to see him in a couple of weeks. I'm gonna be at the NFL Combine and Career
And you
Conference. So,
know he loves sports. So
right, right.
works.
So he's coming to Indianapolis in a couple of weeks. So I'll be there. I'm going to his concert and going to that. So yes, I'll be there. Okay, here we go. Last of the last when it comes to music. Which music concert would you rather see in person? Would you rather see Jay-Z or Kanye?
Mm. I
Oh,
mean, I'm
you
not,
made
I'm
face on
not,
that one.
yeah, I'm not really a fan of either at the moment. But if I gotta choose, it's probably Jay-Z, hoping Beyonce's there.
I was going, okay, so let me ask this one. And I don't know if you are, but which music performer would you rather go see? I'll ask this for a substitute. Beyonce or Taylor Swift?
Sorry, it's gotta be Taylor Swift. Sorry. I'm sorry. I missed out and I'm really upset about it and I'll never get over it. So it's fine.
So you are a Swiftie.
I am a minor Swiftie now. Yes. Yeah.
Hold on. Well, Valerie, you have to explain to me. What is a minor Swiftie? What is
Like
that?
I'm not gonna be crazy about it. Like I'll live the fact that I didn't go get to see the Eras tour, but it's because I didn't know at the time what it was because I was not a huge Taylor fan. I, familiar with her music. I like her as an artist.
Mhm.
But I wasn't locked in to know what that even was at the time. She
Okay.
didn't come here, so I wasn't gonna spend money to go anywhere else. So it's fine.
Mm.
But now that I know what the tour was, I would have loved to see that in person. Yeah.
I feel you. I feel you on that. I'm not a huge Swiftie person either, but I do like her song with Post Malone on her new album. Do
Love
love
it.
that.
So good.
And 1989 album is
Classic.
probably her best
Yeah, I agree.
album if I was gonna
No,
choose. Because
no skips on that album, okay? No skips.
absolutely, absolutely not. Wildest Dreams
Yeah,
being one of my favorites.
you know.
Okay, that's what's up. Um, do you like desserts?
That is my preference. Yes.
Okay, okay, Valerie. So I'm gonna throw four different desserts at you. You got to choose one of these that you'll never eat again. Okay,
Oh, okay.
so here we go. First dessert is ice cream.
That's it.
The-
Don't ask any other questions. Not an ice cream person. Every other dessert, yes, I'm good.
Well, okay. So I would have said. So here's what I'm gonna do. I would have said cookies, candy, cakes slash pies. So, what is your favorite cookie?
Oh, a classic chocolate chip. You can't go wrong. If it's made well and it's warm,
Mhm.
love it. Yeah,
Okay. So I don't know if you'll consider me weird for this, but my favorite cookie is gingerbread.
that's good. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna go specifics. If we're talking
Yeah.
like Christmas cookies, my best friend's mom makes the greatest like Italian snowball cookies. They're like covered in powdered sugar. Mm, can't go wrong.
I, I've never even heard of those.
Oh my gosh, they're amazing. Homemade.
Okay.
I can't even try. So,
I'm gonna
any
need the recipe. I'm gonna need the recipe for that, Valerie. If you can give me the
yeah.
recipe, that'd be great. I'm gonna attempt to
Okay.
try to make those.
Hmm.
I appreciate that. We're gonna lock in for sure. Do you like potato chips?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna name four brands. Same rules. You got to get rid of one of these brands, okay? And one of them is not gonna be Cheetos. So don't worry about that. It's not
Okay.
Cheetos. So first brand, Doritos. Second brand, Pringles. Third brand, Lay's. Last brand, Ruffles.
I'm getting rid of one of them.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not a Lay's person. I could probably do without the Lay's.
Okay.
Because I like Ruffles better.
I like Ruffles the most of
Yeah,
those four.
absolutely. I'm with you.
I'm a huge sour cream and cheddar person. That's me.
Yeah, I'll take them plain. Yeah, I'll take them sour cream and onion. Um, what's the other one? Those are the solid ones. Those are good.
Yeah, I love my sour cream and cheddar with the buffalo chicken dip sauce. Buffalo chicken dip. So I'll dip the chip in there and
Yeah.
with the ridges and the sauce. I love that. So that's me. Um, which sport would you rather play? Badminton or bowling?
Ooh, wow. They're both good.
Yeah, yeah.
Probably bowling. I'd go with bowling.
Are you a good bowler?
No,
How you gonna say they both good, but then you say you're not good in both?
I think it's more fun.
Okay, I get you on that. I get you on that.
Yeah,
Okay, okay, I like that because I'm thinking, okay, you think you guys got some skill. You doing your thing. You like both of them. You playing. You good. And
put
you said no.
the edges up and I'll be fine.
Okay, no. Okay, no. Valerie, hell no. We not. You better have a toddler with you if you're gonna put the edges up.
Yep.
Okay, that's it. All right, you better be babysitting somebody. Um, I'll ask you this: which sport would you rather watch on TV? Basketball or hockey?
Ooh. I think seeing hockey in person is probably pretty cool. Um, yeah, I would say watch basketball on TV.
Okay, I like that. I like that. You did pretty good on this or that. We are vibing here, girl. I like that. You did pretty good. Now I wanna ask you this next question as a journalist because I love asking this question. If it wasn't sports journalism that you were involved in, what career path would you have went down and why?
Yeah, man. I really wanted to be a marine biologist, which makes no
Mm,
sense. So I couldn't see myself ever doing that. But um I wasn't a sports journalist. I really haven't thought of it because I never had a plan B. So, but I will say there's so many jobs within sports. Like I could be the PR person. I could be like in the communications department in sports. I think is pretty cool. I don't know. I don't know of
what
like
about teacher? You see yourself as a
oh, I
teacher?
love yes, I would love being a teacher. Would love to be a teacher. Good call. For
No, you have that kind of presence about you. You really
yeah,
do.
would love to be
Um,
a teacher, yes.
because I actually substitute teach. So that's
Mhm.
what I do.
Yeah.
So I have kids in there that says, "Oh, Mr. Chris, how is journalism? We love seeing you do that because I go cover sometimes." So I worked out here 2 years with the actual publication before I went freelance. So they saw me all around covering different kind of sports. And they will ask me questions about journalism. So I love to teach. I love to be able to mentorship, be able to pay it
Yeah.
forward. I love stuff like that. But I also would love to do theater. People don't
Mm.
know this, but I'm a huge like musical buff. Like I
Cool.
love musicals. I
Nice.
love theater plays. I love stuff like that because it's just something different, and I love doing karaoke and different things of that nature. So yeah, that's me right there for sure. Um, I have two top four questions for you. This first top four question is: I would love to know what is the top four, um, and you can combine them stories slash interviews that you would like to do that you haven't done yet in your career?
Yeah. Huh. Um, I've had this question before, similar, like what interviews would you look forward to? I love the Olympics, so I would love to do, a sit down interview with literally any Olympian. I mean, you could throw Michael Phelps at me, Simone Biles, top tier, even going back. Like I'd love to talk to former Olympians.
Mhm.
Love gymnastics. So part of that, Scotty Scheffler seems awesome. Love to talk to him. Coco
Ooh,
Gauff would be awesome. Um,
yes,
you know, yeah, I'm trying to rack my brain. I mean, Serena Williams, unbelievable. Would love to
the
talk.
GOAT.
Yeah, I think those to me are like prize interviews. If I ever had a chance to interview people like that on that, athletes on that level
Yeah,
before or after their prime, whatever, doesn't matter to me. I want to know them as a person. I want to know their growing up. So those are the coolest to me. But also like I just would love to sit down with other broadcasters, like a Mike Tirico,
yes.
I admire so much, and guys like that. that have just been doing it for so long and they're still so good at it. Um, yeah, those are the interviews. Story wise, it's kind of tough because I don't really tell stories on that level.
Mhm.
But it would probably be along those lines of, aiding an interview. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I would stick with the interviews though.
No, I love that. I know I would love to interview Chris Broussard. He's somebody who I've been following for quite some time. I would love to have uh man, Jamel Hill is somebody who I would love to talk to. I think that would be amazing. Amazing interview to have. Just to hear her perspective of how she was in it, ESPN and out of ESPN and doing her own thing. I just think she's such a powerful woman. I think another interview that I would like to do athlete wise, I would love to talk to Magic Johnson. That would
Hmm.
be amazing. Just his mindset, his business mindset. I just want to
Yes.
be able to understand, like, how do you think about business? Like, how does plans and money and processes, like you hop on teams, every team he seems to go on wins,
Insane.
no question about it. So I would love to do that. And I think a last person for me that I would like to interview, I would like to interview Alex Curry. She's amazing.
Mhm.
And she's somebody who's very hard to reach, no question, but she is just absolutely amazing with her grind and her schedule and just the things that she does. So that'll be four people I would love to interview for sure. I love the Michael Phelps reference. He's there obviously from Baltimore. That would
Yeah.
be absolutely amazing for you to do that. So
I actually had the chance to talk to Ryan Lochte, who is obviously not from Maryland, but on
yeah,
that
but
a
his
similar
teammate.
caliber, and he was fantastic. So
Okay.
that would probably be really good.
I love that. I do. The next top four that I have for you is events. Now, this one we talked about interviews, but what events? And I'll give you a prime example. Events that you like to cover in your career. I would like to do. Well, one of them was checked off. That was the Super Bowl.
Hmm.
That was amazing. But the next four I would like to do is a national championship game, whether it's basketball or football. I would love to cover an NBA Finals. I'm a huge basketball buff. That would be amazing. I would love to cover a World Series. Hopefully, my Padres will be in it. That would be nice. Um, and the last one is definitely, I would say, Stanley Cup,
Hmm.
because there's just nothing like a hockey atmosphere when people are banging on the glass. It's loud, it's cheering. I would love to do a Stanley Cup Finals. What
Yeah.
would be four events for you?
I would love to do a Super Bowl, obviously. Thought we would get there this year. That didn't work out. So, I also think it depends where it is. Like, I was so excited. Last year was Vegas. This year is New Orleans. I was like, those are my best shots. Like, after that, the cities aren't as cool. The venues aren't as,
What?
they're not. To me, like, I don't want to go to Levi Stadium. I don't, it doesn't.
What about Inglewood? What about California?
SoFi is cool, but because if it's in the job that I'm doing now, that's really hard to do on the time difference. So like Vegas was going to be insane already.
Yeah,
New Orleans was going to be more normal. But
yeah.
yeah, but waking up at midnight to do my shift and then have a whole day, I wouldn't sleep for a week. I'll do it, but it's not easy.
Mm,
So
you're right. The time
yeah,
difference. You're
you know what
right.
I mean? Happy to go to LA, happy to do that. But yeah, it would be I'll do it, but it's gonna be hard. So
Okay.
definitely a Super Bowl. I think
Okay.
draft night one and just draft weekend in a city is really cool. Um,
Mhm.
seeing all the young guys and the fashion and everything. Um, and I'm gonna, World Series is in there, but because it's at home, it's a different spectacle. So to me, it's not as, it's not a neutral site. It's not somewhere new. I don't have feel the need to like travel to the other side because I know it's going to be here. So hopefully, but yeah, so World Series is obviously on there. All the, you could list all the championships, they're on there. But
Sure.
I would also say like, um, I would love to host or be part of a broadcast for like the Oscars or like the Met Gala. Um,
I can definitely see you
yeah,
doing that.
I
No question.
want to get into entertainment. I know we talked about it, but Maria Taylor, she just did the Grammys, and I'm like, oh my God, yes, I need to be there. So yeah, I would love to be at award shows for entertainment, 100%.
I think the camera absolutely loves you. There's no question about it. And you'll be dope asking different artist questions, and it's different from your field that you're actually in. I know
Yeah.
you probably ask some great questions as well. And obviously, looking at your reel, you do a great job interviewing anyway. So I'm not even worried about that. It's just the fact that you be on a red carpet with all those superstars.
I know.
I think that would
Got
be
to be the right
amazing.
person to do it, you know?
Yeah. And Maria Taylor is another strong personality in here that's been doing it for quite some time. Honorable mention on the interview, and an honorable mention for the events will be the Olympics. When they come here in 28,
I
come
want to
on
be
now.
there.
Come
You're right.
on.
Add that to the list. See, four is hard because, yeah, the Olympics got to be on there. Yeah.
Absolutely, no question.
Right.
Now, 28 is also the Super Bowl site for 28 is going to be in Atlanta. So that's also on an Eastern time zone for you. That make it a little bit easier. Plus, it's indoors, so you ain't got to worry about the weather,
Exactly.
obviously. And hopefully, that would happen. Hopefully, we'll see. We'll see. Um, what is some advice, Valerie, that someone has gave you that you hold on dearly to?
Hmm, that's a good question. Um, wow. I think some of it I've already shared, once you find the job that you love, it never feels like a job. You never work a day in your life. I also think that from what Laura Oakman has told us, it's like you really focus on the person. And that's always been I know a lot of people in the industry care about the stats and they ask questions about that and the X's and O's. Obviously, that stuff is interesting to me, but I think that I'm learning more by, like you said, gathering from the person that they are and learning more about them. Because then once you really find the way that a person ticks, what motivates them, what they're going back to, what their family life is like, and how they're processing things, I think that helps you understand them on a completely different level. It's not, I
Right.
never want to talk to a guy and think about them like a number, like a stat line. I want to think about, a Roquan Smith, where he's from, his family, what he's doing for the community, and his interests, because to me, that's what I'm going to remember. I can rattle off a stat line if I can remember it, but that's not something that's going to stick in my head that I'm going to think about over and over.
Right.
So
Right.
I think it's always more so like figure out how to create those relationships the right way. Because the way that this industry goes is a lot of breaking news. That's not my job. I'm not here to break news. I'm not here to, light scandals on fire. That's not my job. I'm here to just, learn about the players, the athletes, and portray their stories in a really nice way. That's respectful. So that's the way that I go about my job. And I would just say, like, don't pry. It's not necessary. They're already at such a high level. We talk about this all the time of like athletes now, you have even fans have such unprecedented access to social media, to their press conferences every day and the questions that they're being asked. It's like you know what car they're driving, you know what companies they're working with, what clothes they're wearing. It's like we never used to know this back in the day. And now that everybody
Right.
has that information, just think about what that does to them. So I appreciate their privacy. I respect that. And so I think just being respectful in this industry is really, really important. Also being kind, like I said before. Those are just like the pillars, I think, of when you get into journalism, you have to already know that. And so if somebody's sharing that with you down the line, great to add that in. But it's kind of something that you have to be made for. You've got to know that already day one. So that's the advice that I think that I've learned. May not have been said to me, but that's what I've observed and what I've taken away from it. Um,
Right.
yeah. So that's what I've got.
No, I love it. I do. Everybody wants to be first, and not accurate. That's the kind of thing that we've gotten into the journalism now more so than ever. And my mindset is always that these are not just athletes; these are people that are human beings. They have lives just like us. They just may live bigger lives because they have a bigger paycheck, a bigger, and this, that, and the third. But they go through same problems that we go through. And we need to be able to treat them with the utmost respect, males and females, of athletes. So I love what you just said. That's amazing. We are getting close to the end of the podcast, Valerie. So now what we're going to be doing is some rapid fire. So what that means is I'm gonna throw some things at you, and you just shout out the first thing that comes to your mind with glee. Okay. And the last time I'll ask you this, Valerie, are you ready?
Ready. Ready.
Okay. Here we go. Burgers or tacos?
Burgers.
Chicken or ribs?
Chicken.
Pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes.
That's girl, you on point. Okay, here we go. Favorite color?
Blue.
Okay. Favorite Netflix TV show or TV show series on television?
Currently,
Yes.
I'll never shut up about this. The Night Agent.
The who?
It's so good on Netflix.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check that out. You gonna have to prepare me for that one though. But
So,
we'll talk offline on that. Okay, here we go. Favorite board game?
probably Life. Is
That's a
that a
good one. That's a good one.
which
Yeah,
one?
yeah. I'll say Monopoly is mine, but that's a
Yeah.
good one. Favorite card game?
What's the one? Blackjack.
Okay, that's the one you add up to 21.
Yeah, I like that one.
Okay, okay. Here we go. Favorite alcoholic drink?
It's currently we'll go vodka Sprite.
Mm,
Oh,
I
classic.
like that. I like that. Is it a regular vodka or cranberry vodka?
Not cranberry. Mm-mm.
Okay, so regular vodka. Okay, I got you on that. If you had a choice to listen to three artists or three songs on repeat that you'll never get tired of, who would those three artists or three songs be?
That's a lot. The first thing that popped in my head was Noah Khan, who's great. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, Stick Season is good. Um, what's the other one I was thinking of? Northern Altitude, right?
Okay,
Northern Altitude, something like that. And I think it's Everywhere Everything is a really good one.
okay.
I gotta go three more now. Okay, two more. I gotta comb through.
So you said Noah Khan.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay,
Um, gosh. I said, oh, it's gotta be like a Harry Styles classic. Um, Woman is a great song. I gotta comb through these albums. Um,
no,
Kiwi.
no, you can just name three
Oh,
artists. Three
okay,
artists.
good. I was like songs. God, I can't remember off the top of it. So yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So Noah Khan, Harry Styles, and I mean, I could throw Taylor Swift in there. Let me think of a different one. Um,
Okay.
just off the top of my head. God, it's so hard to think. Um, yeah, I mean, we could go Sabrina Carpenter.
Wow. Okay. Now those are three good artists. I like Noah Khan's "Thou Drunk." I
That's a good
like
one.
that. Very good. I definitely like Harry Styles. The last one he did actually with the group One Direction. I think it's called "Drag Me Down," or I
Oh,
might be wrong.
no, that's good.
Okay, and then Sabrina Carpenter's "The Please, Please, Please." That one's not bad. Okay, I got you. Now, if you had a choice to choose three people to bring with you on vacation, plus you equaling four, who would those three people be? And where would you go? Now, Valerie, you can choose friends, family, or celebrities.
Hmm. Wow, what a time! Oh my gosh. See, there's some for each of those options. I'll never turn down vacationing with my parents. We get along so well, so I love them, and
Okay.
bring my probably my best friend Melissa maybe with me if she would come. Um,
Okay. Where would you go?
Florida on a cruise, Hawaii, who knows, anywhere tropical. Um,
Okay.
yeah, that's my easy one. You know, if I'm going celebrities, I think Erin Andrews and Carissa Thompson would be the best. They'd have so much fun. Um, and yeah, they'd be crazy. I'm trying to think of another person. Maybe like Melanie Collins. I love all of them. So I think we'd be a fun group.
That would be amazing. That'd be amazing. Well, now you got to go a little something different than Florida, though. Where would you go with them?
Oh, well, there, that like Cabo, maybe, that's a good spot. They love that.
Mhm.
I've never been there, but probably, yeah, Cabo, Tulum, somewhere in Mexico for
Oh,
sure.
you definitely would love that. You would love both places for
Yeah,
sure. I've been to both, so you definitely would love both of those places. If
love
you
it.
need any tips or anything, please hit your boy up. I'll let you know what's good. No question about that. All right, that's pretty cool. Now, last of the rapid fire, if they came to you, Valerie, and said you can only do one of these for the rest of your career, be a reporter, be an anchor, or be a radio host, which of the three would you choose?
Probably a reporter because they're traveling, they're the ones that are reporting on whatever breaking news there is at that spot. They're also the ones traveling to do sit down interviews potentially, so I think they're always up for the challenge.
I like that reporter. Okay. Now, how special is it to be working so close to home? Many people that graduate from college or that's in this industry have to move away for a distance and then try to work their way back to home. But you seem like right out of college you were able to get that, which shows your hard work and your work ethic. How special is it for you to be working in the state of Maryland?
That's why it's a dream job. These are the teams that I grew up, watching my whole life. I don't know anything more about any other team. These are the teams I know the most history wise, currently, obviously, because I cover them. But, I can go back and throw some names at you that if somebody's coming in from elsewhere, they don't know the history of the Orioles like I do. They don't know the 2012 team that we love. They don't know that group or even the 2009 Ravens squad that I started following and was one of the first teams I was watching. So I think that knowing the history of these teams and just how well these organizations have been run over these years, it's been such a privilege. We're so spoiled. And so it truly is such a gift. And I'm very lucky.
I love that. And I really have loved this conversation with you, Valerie. I think you're an amazing person, representation of what a sports reporter and sports person should be in this industry. You work extremely hard and you obviously have a lot of fun doing it from the reels that you've produced and put out from 2021, 2024, what you're currently doing now. I appreciate you opening up to me and telling me a little bit about your why and who you are, right? George Mason graduate, doing your thing with the Orioles, doing your thing with the Ravens and on radio and giving some great advice and great answers along the way. I really do appreciate your time. And as I always do with every guest on here, my final question to you is there anything else that you would like to add about yourself, the job, or anything at all before we conclude?
That's my life story. I'm an open book. So you had some great questions for me, Chris.
Well, I appreciate you answering them. And like I said, anytime I do touch down in Baltimore, I definitely was have to say hello to you. And I'm definitely going to miss Shirley's. It's locked in the brain. So I want you to enjoy the rest of your Wednesday afternoon and your week. Keep in touch and we'll talk later.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
No doubt, no doubt. Take care now.
Bye.